Hello, welcome back to Across the Lines News and Analysis. This is Frank and Bob. Today we're going to be commenting on the video you're about to see.
Cancellation of a speech by Milo Yiannopoulos. Most people were appalled by what happened, but Yvette Flarka is not among those people. Besides working as a public school teacher in California, she is the national organizer for the Coalition to Defend Affirmative Action, Integration, and Immigrant Rights, and Fight for Equality by Any Means Necessary. BAM is the acronym. Flarka is willing to integrate violence into her political agenda, as you can see from this clip of her disrupting a rally last summer in Sacramento. Flarka helped organize the Berkeley protests, and she says activists ought to copy his tactics for other speakers and events around the country. Yvette Flarka is with us now. Yvette, thanks all for joining us. So, you did a bunch of interviews after, and you were asked about this, and you were, to your credit, I think, very straightforward about it and unapologetic, and you said, yeah, this guy was a fascist, Milo's a fascist, and we shut him down. You didn't pretend otherwise. We shut him down, and that's what you do with fascists. I think I'm characterizing what you said correctly. Just so we can understand the standard here, what is a fascist?
So a fascist is someone who's organizing a mass movement that's attacking women, immigrants, black people, other minority groups in a movement of genocide. That's what a fascist is.
That is not what a fascist is. By definition, that is not what a fascist is.
A fascist has to do with an authoritarian style of government that seeks to suppress, their opposition through acts of violence. It does not mention anything about women, minorities, or anything like that. It may include that, but that is not explicitly what a fascist is. She's completely
those things are all awful, but that is not fascism. What fascism is shutting people up that you disagree with, which you're going to see a lot of. I'm actually a pretty big fan of.
Okay. So it's someone who's committing violence?
And it's someone who's committing violence and who's trying to organize other people to commit violence.
Literally exactly what you were doing.
Okay.
And Milo Yiannopoulos is a fascist.
Okay.
No, he isn't.
So he's committed acts of violence against the protected groups you mentioned?
Well, what he's doing is he's trying to be the youth face and the token that other people who are organizing violence try to hide behind. And so in all of his talks all over the country, what Yiannopoulos has done is whip up a whole lynch mob mentality where people who come to see him or his supporters not only agree with his views, but also attack other people. And that
Is that not literally exactly what she's advocating?
I mean, yeah, you just saw the fucking video at the beginning. She literally has
herself
attacked
attacking people.
And there has not been one thing where you've seen Milo attack anyone or anything.
I haven't even seen him advocate it.
He hasn't even incited violence. He would be in jail if he's done anything like that. So she has no idea what she's talking about.
She's literally describing herself. It doesn't even realize it.
That was certainly true in Washington State when one of his supporters came and actually shot an anti-fascist protester. But in Berkeley, we made sure that didn't happen because we were able to shut him down.
So, but you're conceding that Milo himself has not committed acts of violence, and nor has he incited violence. By the legal definition, he'd be in jail if he did. But you're saying that because people who agree with him have committed violence, he should not be allowed to speak.
You know, fascist movement takes many forms, and it always tries to have one form that looks respectable and a little bit milder.
She's right about that. But she doesn't realize her group is literally acting as a fascist movement. Even the mere act of silencing people, especially with violence that you disagree with, is as fascist as you could get. I don't know how she and the people following her don't see how hypocritical this is.
You'll see later in this video, she basically openly advocates for more militant protests.
Oh, absolutely.
But Yiannopoulos isn't just a stand-up comedian, and he isn't someone who just has ideas and posts them up on YouTube.
You're right, he's just a professional troll.
He's someone who is funded by Breitbart and Steve Bannon to go around to college campuses to try to recruit other young people to then conduct those attacks on his behalf and on Trump's behalf. But I'm really, really glad to say that thousands of us were out there last week or February.
Yes, thousands of you out there destroying the city, committing the exact kind of violence you were scared Trump supporters would be doing.
February 1st, and made sure that there were thousands of us to make sure that we defended our campus, this community, and especially the immigrant and Muslim students who were under attack and have been under attack.
Wait, you're saying defend your campus from what? Just a guy speaking? Like, you saying that you're defending it implies that you're being actually attacked, which you're not at all.
You were the one attacking people. Literally, physically attacking people. This is absolute fucking madness.
By him and other fascists.
Right, and by using violence, I mean, you don't shy away from that by any means necessary. Is the name of your group, and so it implies violence. So what should we do with fascists? I mean, if you think that someone is espousing genocide, what should we do with them? I mean, should that person be allowed to walk free? Should we put him in jail? Should we kill him? Should we exile him? I mean, it's a sincere question. If you're willing to use violence because you think someone is espousing genocide, what's the penalty for that?
Well, first we've got to make sure we nip it in the bud, and we make sure that they're not allowed to recruit and act as if it's respectable to call for the mass murder of millions of people. In fact, millions...
Who is calling for the mass murder of millions of people?
If she's referring to Milo, he has never once done that. It makes completely no sense.
Like, go look for yourselves. If you find a clip, please send it to us and we'll correct this, but I could not find anything of him saying anything remotely
She's the
like
only
that.
one that's calling on any act of violence.
Who make up the majority of people in this nation at this point.
Okay,
And so they
just
can't
to be
hide
clear,
behind the
there's
platform
no
of free
Milo Yiannopoulos. This is not a defense of him, just a factual point. Has not ever said that in public anyway. Not that we have a record of. There's no evidence that he has called for the genocide of anybody, as you know. But you're saying by transference in some way, he inspires people who believe that, I guess. But you're not getting my question. Like, what when you say nip in the bud? Should he be allowed to go on the subway and talk to the guy next to him about perhaps joining his movement? Or should he be allowed to talk to people in restaurants? Or what should we do with the fascist who you believe is inspiring genocide?
So first of all, the alt-right is a neo-fascist movement, and they're trying to hide behind some softer versions of their more open counterparts who identify themselves as Nazis. But they're still part of the same movement, first of all. Second of all, when someone is trying to speak at a campus or at a rally, they're doing it not just because they have an opinion, but someone like Yiannopoulos or any other alt-righter or fascist or neo-fascist is doing it to recruit other people. No, we don't let them recruit. And in fact, when you look back at the Holocaust and the lessons that we draw from that, we don't say, oh, well, at least we let them voice their opinion. We say never again.
Okay.
Well,
So she literally just compared Milo Yiannopoulos and the alt-right movement to the Nazis.
I mean, some of the alt-right absolutely is comparable. But Milo specifically, like this, one, he's Jewish. Two, he's a Jewish gay dude. He would not have done well
And he
in Nazi
openly
Germany.
speaks out against gay rights.
Like, this is just ridiculous. Like, this lady is living in her own little
You
world.
can't compare the worst regime in history to something to a group that hasn't even carried out any type of violent acts. It's completely ridiculous.
And you were literally doing more to legitimize them than any of their speakers by acting ridiculous.
That is exactly what Milo wants. This guy is a professional troll.
He got
wants
$1
this type of
million
reaction.
book deal when they banned him from Twitter. Alright, if he did speak at the school, he would have had probably a decent sized crowd, and that would have been it. No one would have been not even in the news most likely. Because of what you guys did, it is all over the place. Friggin' thousands of times more people paying attention to it.
What most people including Yvette, don't realize is that when you have violent protests like this, it's kind of exactly what they want because it just gives them more credibility.
Not kind of, it is exactly what they want.
It just gives them more credibility.
Let's let her continue.
When we say that, we elevate people like Dietrich Bonhoeffer or members of the plot against the leader of Nazi Germany to kill him. So, I mean, that was the response, of course, to the leader of that fascist movement. Most people think it was legitimate. Do you think, you're not answering my question, that people like Milo, who you've decided are fascists, should be allowed to speak in public? You said they weren't allowed to speak at Berkeley.
He should not be allowed to speak in public to spread his racist and misogynistic and homophobic lies. No, he does not have the right to do that.
I think she forgot about the First Amendment and everyone, no matter what their viewpoints is, to have the right of freedom of speech.
I don't think she forgot about the First Amendment. I think she doesn't give a fuck about the First Amendment. You're going to say only what she fucking deems acceptable, or you ain't gonna say it at all without getting popped in the face, apparently.
And is that not fascist?
It is as fascist as you could get. It is absolutely bonkers that this woman thinks that she's fighting fascism with fascism.
When he's using his speech to whip up attacks on people, no, he doesn't have the right to do that.
So
and to spread lies about our humanity, no, he doesn't.
Okay, so you're not allowed to say things that you think are untrue. Well, I mean, of course, in the case of Berkeley,
no, that's not what I said. I didn't say you're not allowed to say things that are untrue. But if you're trying to spread racism and hostility, misogyny, rape.
Oh, speaking of saying things that are untrue, I see why she's saying that, because she's saying so many things that are untrue. But anyway.
Whip up people to lynch people, or to certainly have that mentality to rape people or to lynch them? Absolutely not. And any...
When has this guy ever said to rape and fucking kill people? I don't think.
Are you just taking fascism and using it for people you don't like, and then attributing literally every negative thing that humans have ever done throughout history? They were for genocide, rape. Oh my god! Like, this lady is just.
This woman is clearly inciting some type of violence, and
she's flat out violent.
And she's proud of it. She's proud of it. It's crazy.
She's up there saying we need to stop these people from then listening to things that are like, you know, all the things she thinks they're gonna do, while using fascism, well, being the biggest fascist possible to shut them down.
I just wonder if she knows what she's doing, or if she's completely oblivious to what she's
I think
doing.
she may have literally just climbed so far up her own ass. This lady is she seems completely sure of herself. Like, you could tell there's no arguing with this woman.
Decent human being, whether it was in a classroom or at a restaurant, if they heard someone doing that, would turn around and tell them, you need to stop talking. You are not welcome here. This is not a safe environment. You need to go. Well, that's what we did at UC Berkeley, and that was a good thing.
Hit them or set fire. So you're a middle school teacher, which may surprise some of our students.
Oh God, those poor students.
Rather, some of our viewers that you have students. The First Amendment was always kind of the cornerstone of American civic life, the idea that you have the right to say something that other people may vehemently disagree with, but you have that right. It's enshrined in the Bill of Rights.
It's not often that I agree with Fox News, but it doesn't get more straightforward than that. Thank you, Tucker Carlson.
Do you teach that to your students?
The First Amendment is about free speech, but that's not an abstraction. And if there was someone in my classroom who was espousing rape or genocide or attacks on Muslims, I would certainly make sure that I stood up for the rest of my students and told them they need to stop. And if they refused to, they would need to leave.
Would you
hit them? In fact, fascism
but hold on,
isn't just about abstract. No, I'm not finished though yet. And I'm not finished yet. If there is a fascist in any situation that I was in, I would call for other people to take action too, but it's not just about the immediate moment. Right, it's also within the context of building a movement.
But I don't want this to be abstract.
Against Donald Trump.
She literally just got done saying how fascism is about building up a movement to use violence against people. Well, she is saying that her goal is to build up a movement, which she's clearly said multiple times will use violence if necessary. Well, not even if necessary, if they just fucking feel like it. Jesus Christ, dude.
But see how she's avoiding the question of if she would actually do something to someone in her own classroom.
Well, cause I mean, as crazy as you are, this lady can't get on fucking TV and say, I will punch one of my students.
Yeah, I would hope not.
She probably would do it from the sound and look of things, but...
In that sense, she's being smart.
No, you're getting abstract. I want to bring this back to the concrete, as you said, and rightly so. So if there was a student in your class who started espousing what you believe is fascism, and you said you need to leave, you need to be quiet, you need to leave, and he didn't leave, would you hit him as you hit that protester? Would you beat him up?
No, of course not. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about people who, you know what? In Sacramento, there were fascists who had knives tied at the ends of sticks, and they stabbed people.
One, that's called a spear.
And two, that didn't happen because you guys are the ones that started the violence, because they were just doing normal protests before you guys came along and decided to.
And if people stormed the protest with spears, which is what a knife tied to a stick fucking is, that would have been big news. Now
that would have been absolutely shut down before that could have even ensued.
What is it, like ancient Rome coming to fucking battle? Like,
yeah,
this lady is.
She's just covering.
She lives in alternative fact land.
She's covering up for her own bullshit.
She lives in alternative fact land. I don't think she thinks she's full of shit. I think she's dead ass serious.
No, she definitely thinks she's...
Not the man that you hit. He's kind of unarmed to me.
Oh, yes, actually they did. And it's funny to you, but it's actually not funny to the rest of us. And that's why we take this really...
It's ironically very funny, but definitely you do not see that clearly.
seriously.
I know that you take it seriously, and that's why I'm asking you a really simple question.
But I am serious as a heart. I am serious as a heart.
Oh, I believe you. Oh, I believe that you're serious.
And we're not talking
no
about a classroom. We're talking about people who are trying to kill and murder people and who've already done it. And who are trying to create a hostile environment on these campuses in order to do that. No, that's not a safe environment for immigrant students. That's not a safe environment for women or Muslim students or trans students. And so, yeah, we have a right to defend ourselves.
So please show me one attack that has resulted from these quote-unquote fascists that has happened in America. That's all I want to know, honestly. Because I haven't seen anything else besides you guys.
Let's ask you one last question, Eva, if I may. So if you're standing, I just want to know, like, the protocol for anti-fascist activists like yourself. You're standing on a street corner, someone starts saying something you don't like, and you think, boy, that's an act of hostility, that person's a fascist.
No, you are misrepresenting the words that I've been saying. This isn't about not liking something. This isn't about Ben and Jerry's versus Stone Cold Pizza or something. This is about the lives of real people, immigrants who are under attack now, Muslims who are being massacred, women who are being raped.
Okay, unless you're talking about what's going on in the Middle East where Muslims are being massacred, what the fuck is this woman talking about? Can you show me one of these massacres? Yes, there's been isolated attacks, and you can definitely pull up a couple, but massacred is a very strong word.
There has not been any type of massacre in the United States when it comes to Muslims, nor has there been any type of attack like that she's talking about.
She's talking about the one in Quebec, but
women being raped.
Yes, it's happening.
I mean, it's obviously
it is not because Milo gave speeches. It has nothing to do with shutting up these people that you were actually shutting up. If you were actually focusing on the people doing what you claim is going on, that is a much different story. But the people you were attributing, like blaming, it's absurd. This whole thing, it's absurd that this lady even has a platform.
So you're the one trivializing this, not me.
I'm not in any way trivializing, and I ask you a sincere question. To what extent would you go to stop that person from spreading genocidal propaganda?
I would call for people to counter-protest, to stand up, and to shut down any
But what do you
attempts
mean
to
by shut
fascistly
down?
recruit and organize.
Like, what if I want to keep talking? I'm saying something that you find appalling, but you know what? I've got a First Amendment right. I'm an American.
I think we all know what she means by shut down.
Yeah, well, she makes it clear multiple times what she means by shut down.
You see in that video, and you can tell at Berkeley, like, their movement, it literally is by any means
She answered that question with her eyes more than her friggin' voice.
They are not
glare like,
they are not shy at all about their views. That is pretty obvious, and it even says on their website, an article is titled "No Free Speech for Fascism," which, ironically enough, they are fascists.
What would you do? So a bunch of people come and say, stop that. I say, no, I'm not going to stop that. I'm an American. What are you going to do next?
You know, the First Amendment, you want to talk about the First Amendment? Coretta Scott King's letter wasn't allowed to be read on the floor of the Senate.
A whole other issue, but completely irrelevant to this.
Last week, under the Constitution, in the Senate.
That's exactly what happened.
And yet, at the same time, you're the one then who's actually trying to defend someone like a fascist speaking and recruiting at a college campus.
All right, Yvette,
I'm proud to say that we all stood up and we shut him down.
All right, thanks for coming on and showing us what you believe.